guys are struggling with what operators to play, I got you. Today I'm gonna be going over a full tier list, and before you comment down below, because you might disagree, let me know why you disagree. Every time I do a tier list, I always see people saying this is a trash list, don't listen to this guy, or this guy's definitely gold, stuff like that. I've been champion since literally champion has came out. I peaked at top 30 champion on controller. I came over to PC. I'm champion every season on PC. So I think I know a little bit more than the average player, and I literally devote most of my content to helping you guys get better. So just hear me out. I'm gonna explain every single pick. Let's get into it. I'm going to start out with the new operator, which is Demos. I'm going to put him in A tier. Now, the reason why I'm putting Demos as A tier is because at least on PC, he's a lot better than what he is on console, because it takes a lot of skill to really be good on a controller with his pistol. But overall, it's the team aspect of Demos that makes him so good. Even if you don't use his pistol and you just use his scans, that information alone is fantastic. And I know a lot of people say that Jackal is better, but to be honest, I think they're wrong, because Jackal is played for a whole different purpose than Demos. Demos is played for an easy roam clear once you have information, or just for information. Demos is not only played for roam clearing. You can also use him late round to get information when you don't know where somebody is, and that's always great. Information is key in Siege, so he's just a great operator. Technically, you can say he's always useful. So I guess I'm just going to put him up there because, yeah. But yeah, in terms of Jackal, I'm gonna put him in great. I do think that a lot of the times, if I'm really wanting to roam clear, I rather pick Demos than Jackal, because having to get map control instead of just pinging somebody or getting information that they have that operator, it's way different. As long as you have a team which you can communicate with, that's great. Because I know when you go Jackal, even in solo queue, you still have to get map control. You still have to deal with all the people flanking and all of that. So I think Demos is 100% S tier op. Jackal's an A tier op. Now this one's going to throw a lot of you guys off. Castle is going to be an S tier. Now, the reason why I'm putting Castle in S tier is because I'm changing the way that I do these tier lists. Instead of saying a lot of people use this operator wrong, I'm just going off the pure raw operator. Castle is hands down always useful, and a lot of the problem is with the players that play Castle. They think castling off site and castling all the flank and entryways is going to be like the bee's knees. No. A lot of people play Castle wrong. Castle is denial. Castle is window denial. Castle is an extension galore. Castle has so much utility that will allow you to extend and contest attackers and make them waste utility. Just because people play Castle wrong, there shouldn't be a stigma around him saying that he's bad. Castle's really good. When you're playing Castle, you guys should be extending the map. For example, any map that you play, instead of castling off direct doors in sight, think about how you can extend into the map and contest them from taking prominent map control instead of contesting just the site doors. Because when you castle off the site doors, what will happen is the people will be able to get really close up in the site almost, and all they have to do is break a castle, and then they have quick lines of sight to all your teammates and yourself. But when you extend out and you make them waste time to really fight for map control, you will do the job which Castle is great for. Grim, I'm not lying, bro. I love Grim. Grim is hands down always useful in my opinion. Grim is a great operator. Him having so much utility and just being able to clear corners even when you get rid of cams is freaking life-saving. I think his kit is great. I'm really glad that they reworked him and allowed him to bounce his bees, because it literally made him one of the worst operators of all time to a fantastic S tier operator. Heading over to Sense, I'm putting Sense in D, which is meme trash operators, needs a buff, because Sense is super underwhelming. A lot of the times I rather just bring maybe somebody with a shield like Montang who has smoke grenades, and I can just safely throw my smokes instead of having to dictate where the Sense gadget goes. Sense needs a huge buff with the Sense gadget. I think that Sense should be able to have a directory of where it goes. For example, like it'll have like little lines to show you like maybe if it's gonna bounce a specific way. And I feel like there's nothing that's really stopping anybody from running through Sense walls. So I think if we're gonna buff Sense, it would definitely be in a Finir style way. You know, if you go through a Finir gadget, it smokes up your vision. Do something like that. A minor smoke that blocks your vision, that stops defenders from wanting to run through those things. Next up, I'm definitely going to be picking Dokkaebi. Dokkaebi is always useful. It's actually insane how great all of these operators are. Like, we have so many fantastic operators at the moment, and we have less and less meme trash operators, in my opinion, which is insane. That's why I love Siege so much, because you can play operators literally, like, you can have a different lineup every single time on a different on the same map, and it can play differently. And it's not like you need one specific operator. You just need certain like tools, like for example rotates and lines of sight and maybe some type of denial. So talking about denial, I'm gonna put Mute in S tier. Always useful. Mute is a great operator. Also, if you guys are wondering, the way I'm also doing this is in terms of like S tier and A tier, which I just thought about this because I don't want this to just be a bunch of S tier operators. I'm putting operators that are needed a lot more than others. For example, you don't need a Demos or a Jackal. These operators are a little bit situational. They're great to have, but they're more situational in terms of how the defenders are playing. So I'm sorry if I confuse you guys swapping Demos back to A, but I just made up my mind. Going off, Legion is definitely an S tier operator as well. Legion has a lot of lines of sight capability. Having a bulletproof cannon is great, but what makes Legion so good is no matter if you're solo queue or 5 stacked or any map you play, he's going to be a good pick because you can place his goo mines literally everywhere, and the longer you stay alive, the better he gets. So this is why he's so good, because you don't need teammates that will call out. You have Legion because you have goo mines. If someone's going to shoot a goo mine, you're going to hear it. If somebody's going to go through a goo mine, you're going to hear it. He's great. Next up is going to be Oryx. I think Oryx is one of those other trash meme ops. Very easy to get out of the way. There's always a better pick than Oryx, let's be honest. And the bang for your buck utility based is disgusting. Rook, I'm going to put him in C tier, and I'm going to get a lot of people angry because they like to make this BS conversation where he can save your life and all of this, but there's always a better pick, guys. Doc is a better pick than him. I personally think Thunderbird is better than Rook, even if Thunderbird's gonna probably be in the C tier as well. Now Rook, he's just one of those easy ops. People go him if they're new to the game or if they want an MP5 and someone took Doc. That's the reality of it. Rook is not a good operator. You should not be crutching yourself on using operators like this, because once you get into higher ranks, people are not going to be using a lot of Rook. And if they are, they're just trying to run around with him and shoot. If you're playing a competitive match, you're not bringing Rook. You're going to bring more utility, better operators that actually deny sights. Heading over to Solis. Solis is S tier hands down. Literally cams, utility. Even if somebody think it charges somebody, you see them. And even if there's a blitz, you see the blitz wherever he is on the map. So a lot of counteract, but most importantly, denying the drone economy, which even when Solis gets nerfed and you're not able to use the gadget in the prep phase, still going to be an S tier operator in my opinion, just because of the information. Over to Kali, I'm gonna put a C because I think Kali is okay, but there's usually always better options, like someone with a secondary EMP. I like Kali's gadget, I just don't like Kali's sniper, and the sniper is really what does it for me, because a lot of the times, like, I feel like I body people and it either just doesn't register or it's like I hit them in the arm and it does nothing. It's a bolt action rifle, and it's very frustrating to use that sniper. It just doesn't fit well in the Siege in my opinion. Heading over to Valkyrie, S tier operator. Like, you can have unlimited intel and you can just throw your cams literally anywhere, and she's great. So I can't put her anywhere else. Heading over to Amaru. Amaru is going to be okay, but there's usually always a better option as well. Not a lot of utility coming out of Amaru with her primary gadget, but she's one of those operators that you pick every like 50 rounds to make a play or do something like that. Or if you're playing Cafe, a lot of people just rush Heaven. So besides that, like, she's a fun operator, but she's not needed. Like, there's always better options than her. Next up is going to be Finka. I think Finka's a great operator. Only healer that we have on attack. And a lot of the times I'm sitting there and I'm like, damn, I really wish I had a Finka. Just because of the amount of gadgets in Siege. It's not even because of the bullets. This is a one-shot headshot game. But my problem is when I walk into somewhere in the map and I get hit with a random goo mine. And there's going to be times where you can't always get that goo mine out right away. There's times where you're going to need that extra health because somebody spawn peeked or threw a random C4. So it's always helpful to have this gadget overall. Warden is going to be meme trash op, needs a buff. Actually, I don't know. I feel like Warden, I just hate Warden so much. I'm going to put him in C. There's usually always a better option. It just depends on the team that you're playing. If you know the team and the way you extend and the way you hold the map, it's all based on that. Because Warden is good at denying flashes or smokes. And a lot of the times people use flashes just to burn ADSs, Wamais. And by burning, I just mean wasting. So it actually, you're able to use primary gadgets like Ash Charges or whatever to destroy like mirrors and whatnot. But the thing about Warden is it's not really that common for people to, you know, flash out Wardens. It's very rare. And the thing I notice with a lot of Warden players is they don't even know that they have a denial for flash. Warden is situational, but he's good when you do get flashed or smoked. Personally, not my cup of tea in terms of an operator. I always think there's a better option, to be honest. But yeah, Twitch is going to go in good but situational because there's just better operators for denying utility. The thing about Twitch, once again, is just it's a pain in the ass to get your drone in. And a lot of times it's loud as hell. People are drone hunting. At least I will be. And especially when you have a mirror, you know there's going to probably be a counter Twitch. So it is situational. There usually are better picks than Twitch as well. Same with Brava. I think Brava is great. I love the concept of Brava, but the way that Siege is played at this current moment, it's just Brava is too slow. Hacking the gadgets, getting all that stuff done takes too long. I will notice the first minute of my round, if I spend hacking stuff, my teammates will already be dead. And there's nothing I can do. And then it looks like I'm baiting. And then I'm in a 2v5. And then, like, it really depends on how slow and how aware your teammates are that you are Brava. Alibi is going to go in okay, but there's usually always a better option. Alibi is definitely one of those filler picks like Rook, like I said before. Maverick is going to go in good, but situational. Because we have so many operators now that have secondary EMPs. And we have so many operators with secondary hard breach. So Maverick isn't as meta as he used to be before we're getting those gadgets. So a lot of times Mav is just good for like a play if you want to make a Mav glass play or even make some lines of sight. And like he could always be great, but if you're using him for his primary gadget to open a wall, it's situational. Cav is going to go in D. Trash Ops needs a buff. Cav, they need to make a Cav silent step actually silent. Because if you didn't know, it is not completely silent. I feel like just that alone makes Cav so boring. And it's just like someone sees a Cav, they know you're going to be, you know, offsite. And it's just so freaking boring, man. Like Cav was good back in like year 2, year 3 when we didn't have a lot of these anti flank, like gridlock, nomad, you know, etc. Blitz is going to be C. Okay, but there's usually a better option. Blitz, I just think he's the weaker shield now, especially since Montang can knock people over just like him. And the whole premise of a shield operator is to get map control, is to get up in their face and get it quick and, you know, distract them. But Blitz is so easily counterable now. Montang at least can have his entire body fold and then he can knock people over. Montang's just better. I'm going to put Montang in great. A lot of people thought that the shield nerf was nerf. Was it nerf? Because you can't 80 on 80 like on ADS shoe, but I think people are wrong. I think that Montang is great. I think he's a fucking so good when you actually play him how he's supposed to be played. And that is by taking map control and getting in the defender's face and getting free intel. You're not supposed to be taking one-on-one gunfights 24/7 with Montang. Like, people that do that are actual bricks. That's the people that think that this operator's trash. Knock is gonna give him C as well. I do think Knock has, like, it's one of those operators like Amaru once again, where you play them every 50 freaking like rounds and they'll be, you know, you can make a play. Besides that, I'm not bringing this operator every single round. Glaz is going to go in B, good but situational. Glaz thrives in post-plant scenarios or with any operators that can bring smokes. But a lot of the times I just think he's just situational because a lot of the maps will be played a specific way where Glaz just doesn't fit in as well as other attackers. Goyo is going to go in S tier. Goyo is hands down one of the most underrated defenders in my opinion. His Goyo canisters waste so much freaking time. You can impact trick. You have a great gun that has an ACOG. You can place his Goyo canisters on barricades across the map, and that will just literally contest the defender attackers, I mean, until like for like a lot of time. And you can do that 4 times, or you can use them post plant, or I mean before plant, and deny it last 10 seconds, and it's just like a smoke canister. It's so good, it lasts so long, it takes so much damage. Smoke is going to go in S tier for that exact same reason. You're able to make rotates, you have barbed wire. It sucks Smoke doesn't have shield, but Smoke is still an S tier operator. Overall, Smoke's kit is great. Clash is going to go into B. Good but situational. People think that Clash is awful. There's a million different counters, I agree. But when you face a good Clash player, and when somebody actually uses Clash, how Clash is intended to be, then it's game over. Like, it's over for you guys. So hands down, Clash is good but situational because it's all dependent on how your team plays. Wamai is going to be in always useful because Wamai is always useful, let's be honest. You can't go wrong with this operator. Tachanka, meme trash op needs a buff. This is the reality of Tachanka. I like the concept of the rework, but the execution is poor. I feel like using Tachanka is very underwhelming. Like, using his gadget, it takes so long to reload. It gives your position away of where exactly you're shooting, and it's not like it's like a fast shooter like the gadget. It literally boom boom boom. It shoots so freaking slow. So I feel like that is just a very underwhelming operator. I want them to buff him as well. Don't know how they would do so, but I want them to buff him. Next up, I'm going to be going with Ying. Ying's great. I could technically put Ying in always useful, but I'm gonna have a million operators because you can make the case for always useful. But I'm thinking of the strongest of the strong. Ying is great because the amount of burn capability and map control that you can get. It just comes down to how well the player can play off their teammates with the Candelas. I know for a fact I sometimes just Candela my teammates because sometimes we're just not in the same mindset of how we're pushing. So Ying is great, can be almost always useful, but something about Ying is just missing for S tier. Next up we have Ella. Ella's gonna go in C. There's usually always a better option. Ella does have quite a bit of util with the shield and 3 Ella mines, but for gun and just, I don't know, something about Ella, it just doesn't spark, you know, interest. I rather a Legion, more utility. Sure, doesn't have a shield, but I would just prefer operators like that. IQ, I'm gonna put C into the B. Good but situational. The problem is getting inside the map and locating that utility, and then actually having your teammates act off that utility. Because, sorry for my yawning, because I notice when people go IQ, they actually forget they have a gadget, or when they use IQ, their teammates don't destroy or listen to the information that's being called out. That's what sucks about IQ. Now, next up, I'm going to be picking Ashe. Ashe is always useful as an attacker, especially with mirrors now. You can counter mirror so easily. You're able to just crack the mirrors. So there's nothing wrong with going this operator. Like, Ashe is a good pick. Lion is going to go into great. Lion, it just depends on, once again, your teammates, because you guys have to be able to play off that intel and execute off the Lion scans the right way. And that comes down to your droning, that comes down to everything like that. Lion as a whole is a good op. Sorry about that yawn. Next up, let's go to let's go to Capcan. Capcan's great. Capcan is one of those operators that you can bring on most sites, and it's really dependent on the enemy's ignorance, to be honest. Not as consistent as Legion, but when you get an EDD or a few EDDs go off, it's definitely worth it. But it is a little bit like less of a impact than Legion, because Legion rotate capability, able to, you know, be better as the round goes on. Same with Capcan, but Capcan is very hit or miss because Capcans are so easy to spot. Drink water. Hold up, guys. I look like a hamster. Seriously, take a water break. Ram is going to go into A. Great operator. Always useful. We can have that conversation, but I think that there's a better option with Buck. Buck is way better than Ram. Ram is able to easily get vertical control or make plays, throwing Ram gadgets through barricades. But what Buck does better is more consistent, safe lines of sight. Because when you play Buck, you're able to control what lines of sight you have. With Ram, you're really not. You would have to throw out the thing and then shoot it. I'm not saying that's bad, but the thing about Ram is you make too much vertical control, you're not going to be able to play anywhere on the vertical holes. So Buck just does it better in my opinion, but Ram is the easy version of Buck. B is going to be Maestro, which is just going to be good but situational. Once again, that just depends on like how you and your teammates play and how good of a Maestro cam player you are. But if we're talking about just the pure utility of Maestro, I just think there's better options with going someone with a bulletproof cam. I know bulletproof cams can't shoot Maestro cams. I mean, they can't shoot, it can zap, but it's all dependent on your teammates, in my opinion. Because if your teammates don't bring the utility or more utility, then your Maestro cams will be focused right away, unlike their utility, if that makes sense. Thorn is going to go into C. Situation, there's just, okay, but there's always a better option. She is one of those operators that's fun, but yeah, not always need it. Nomad is going to go into A. Same with Gridlock. The reason why is I don't see them always as flank watchers, at least Gridlock. I like to think of Gridlock as keeping a track stringer like in pocket, so I can throw it out post plan or when I'm trying to execute a plan, and maybe throwing a smoke in it, because trying to get into sight and defuse the bomb while there's track stringers and then take one-on-one gunfights, it's super freaking hard. But the good thing about Gridlock is you have 4 of them, so you're able to cover so much area. Now when talking about Nomad, I just find Nomad is inconsistent. A lot of the times you're able to shoot the air jabs very easily, so there's that. But yeah, sometimes claymores are better, so yeah. Next is going to be Blackbeard. Blackbeard is okay, but there's usually always a better option. You can make some good Blackbeard plays, but there's a better option, like 99.999% of the time. Vigil is going to go in C. There's always a better option. Vigil is not the best roamer in the game. You can technically roam with any defender at this point in the meta of Siege. It just all depends on your teammates, how well you guys play and roam together, and what focus and area you're trying to deny. Melusi is S tier. This operator, probably one of my most hated operators to face, especially on console, because I swear to God, they put Mel devices in the most annoying random places. I'll jump in a window or something, and then I have to flick down, and then I'm dead because flicking on the sticks is insane. But Mel's great. Capital is going to go into good but situational. Capital, I love Capital, but I feel like the execution of his gadget sucks. I hate how long it takes to pull out his gadget. I hate how long it's just not fun. Like, I feel like they need to speed up it, just like Tachanka, but unlike Tachanka, Capital is actually usable. Thunderbird, it's going to be C, okay, but there's always a better option, and that option is in Doc. I think Doc is an A tier operator. He's frag heavy. The only thing that Doc doesn't do that Thunderbird does is heal when teammates when you're dead. But the good thing about Doc is you can actually dock someone all the way back up to 100 HP plus. Thunderbird, it takes increments and it takes multiple devices. So that's the problem with the operator. Bandit is going to be in B, but situational, because bandit tricking is very niche. Bandit tricking is great, but there's just so much random stuff you have to deal with. It's situational because your teammates, it depends on how they're roaming, if they can actually contest someone getting vertical play, and if they can, you know, actually help you. I see a lot of people solo queuing bandit tricking. It's the worst thing you can do, because 9 times out of 10 your teammates are not going to play off of you. Cade is going to be always useful, especially with Thatcher always being banned. He can be great. You can get some sneaky spots. Take a shot every time I goddamn yawn. Pulse is going to go into B. Good but situational. Depends on the map. Depends on the team that you're playing. Because if you face a team that's going to rush site right away, it's going to be impossible to play great with Pulse, because your teammates are going to probably die if you're playing very aggressive players, and it's hard to be in every place at once, and just situational, man. Mozzie is great. Drone denial is always great. I can't complain about that. It does suck that he lost his ACOG, but it makes sense because I feel like Mozzie is a very strong operator. I'm seeing less and less of him this season, but I still think he's a gem. I feel like people just crutch the ACOG. They think about ACOG when it comes to every operator, but he's always great, man. Vineyard and Frost is both going to go into always useful, because they're just always useful. You can bring them on every site and have such a good effect. More or less, like talking about Frost, it's just him having a shield, or her having a shield, I apologize, being able to make lines of sight, having that ACOG to play off the shield, and then having 3 Frost mats that serves as information, just like Legion. People have to shoot it. When people jump in windows, they can't aim at you. They have to look at the floor and shoot it right away. So I feel like these operators are both always useful. Vineyard gets better as the round progresses. Vineyard gets better as time progresses with how well of a player you are with him. You literally have to swap in between his gadgets late round, and he's a lifesaver, man. I love Vineyard. Ace is good but situational. I'm gonna get slack for that, because I think that Ace is one of those hard breaches that are like a Walmart or like a good value version of a hard breacher, because Ace is one of those operators that are just so boring, and it's like you need to be facing like actual idiots that don't impact or bandit trick. I've seen rounds get thrown because Ace is brought. You ace a wall, someone throws an impact at it, and then you don't have any hard breach left. It's all situational when it comes to that. Thermite is, in my opinion, great. Habana as well is going to be always useful, in my opinion. The reason being because Thermite, he's great because he can open up walls easy, no problem. Habana is able to open up not only hard walls but soft walls and counter attacks operators like Azami, Mirror, and just anything that's on a soft floor. People don't think about that. When you think of Habana, you think of only a hard breacher. But if I'm Habana and I'm bringing Habana to open lines of sight and then a hatch, I still have Habana pellets left over that can be useful for, let's say, once again, mirrors or any utility. It's just people think so one-dimensional with some of these operators. Thatcher is is great. I want to say always useful, but the thing about Thatcher is there's people with secondary EMPs. So if there wasn't secondary EMPs, I would have them in always useful, but they're secondary EMPs. Jaeger is always going to be useful, just like Wamai. He's just one of those operators that, like, if we got more operators with ADSs, people would play them, and it's just, he's just one of a kind. Wamai does do his job just a lot differently. Overall, I think they're both good to bring always. Azami is always useful as well. Being able to just create your own lines of sight and random shields makes Azami an S tier operator. The thing about Azami, even with Azami's nerf, Azami's still so freaking good. I want to choke myself when I see a good Azami on Cafe or any map. Sledge is good but situational. Talking about Sledge and Buck, Buck is just the better version overall. He brings more to the table than Sledge. Sledge is good in circumstances where there's castles, but when we're talking about straight up vertical play, I'd much rather bring a Buck than a Sledge. Zofia is going to be A, or God, I don't even know. A S A S A S A S A S A. I'm gonna put her in A. I think Ashe is the better version of her, just because of the speed advantage, dealing with the mirrors, and it's just, you're able to get map control a lot quicker with an operator like Ashe. Zofia is great because you're able to clear rooms just by you're using your flashes, and you can actually get information just based off those flashes. If you flash an area and it goes off immediately, you know someone's there. If you flash, or I mean stun, sorry, an area and it doesn't immediately go off, that means that nobody's in that vicinity, just so you guys know. Zero's great. Zero is kind of like Brava in my opinion, except, you know, a little bit more manageable since you can shoot them and you don't need to be on the cam right away. Really great operator. It's just, I feel like there are better attackers for most maps than Zero. Like, it's not like you need a Zero, but Zero is, holy shit, he is underrated. Okay, he's a great operator. Echo is going to be situational as well, just like Maestro. Just depends on your team site setup. It depends on your team's operator symmetry. It depends on a lot of things, because since we have Brava, I feel like you're going in Twitch and so many other operators that have drones now, and like you're going to have to not bring somebody rather than bringing an Echo. For example, like, there's so many people that want to run around with like operators like Wamai and Jaeger and Legion, and then like a mute or someone with rotates, and there's always something going to be missing. So I feel like Echo, it just depends on the map. It depends on your team. It depends on all that. Next is going to be Yana. I think Yana is great. She's not up there as terms of like need it. She is a good pick when you can bring her, but she's not needed in my opinion compared to some of the other attackers, like, you know, let's say Ashe or Buck. Yeah, so she's great. I wouldn't personally, the way I play, I'm not bringing her all the time. Fuse is going to be A tier operator. Actually, I'm putting him in S. I don't care. This is my list. I love Fuse. Fuse has always been my favorite operator because people always overlook him. They think that coppers play him only and they fuse the hostage. It's a running meme. It's boring. I love him. I think he's a great operator. Hands down, my favorite operator. So I'm putting him in S. I don't care. Tubby is always going to be an S as well, being able to freeze not only utility, but able to freeze yourself if you're getting Dokkaebi called, Jackal called, Demo called, whatever. Like, you're able to counteract so many attackers, which just makes him so good. Like, I can't. Like, he makes other operators better. He makes Cades, Bandits, you know, literally any operator that with impacts, you can impact trick easier. Like, he's just so freaking good. Flores is always going to be useful as well. And same with Mirror. Same with Aruni. I'm going to put Osa in great. But the reason why I'm putting those three operators in always useful is because they are always useful. If Mirror's on the board, you can bring Mirror and change the way that attackers are going to attack just based off of bringing Mirror. In terms of Aruni, same thing. You can literally bring Aruni on every single site and have a huge impact. a Rooney is always good to have. Same with Flores. You can clear so much utility. You can also make vertical play. You can also make quick plays by just, you know, Flores droning a barricade. Like, there's nothing wrong with the operators that I put in S. Now, I know there's a lot of operators in S, but let me know down in the comments, guys. What do you think is wrong with this list? Because literally, like, let me know. Because personally, the way I play, I think that this is a very valid list overall. Just the way I see ranked on console and PC in champ ranking, this is universally what I would be thinking in terms of operator selection. But guys, if you guys have any opinions, if you think my list was trash, dog shit, whatever, instead of just saying that, let me know why. Let me actually have conversations with you guys and have insight on operator selection. Because there's going to be newer players that's going to be reading this and they're going to be asking why. But besides that, guys, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure that you guys like, sub, and comment. Thank you so much for watching the video. Of course, gotta put my man Recruit up in the S tier. And have a great freaking day, guys. Thank you so much.